Today we're going to be going over a few different fragrances that will make you absolutely unforgettable. These are the type of scents that stand out in such a way that when someone smells these on you, they will remember that moment in time where they smelled that for the first time. They will associate that smell with you, and every time you see them again, they're going to be like, hey, you're the guy that always smells good. Even though if it was only one time that they happened to smell you, they only met you once, because you smelled so good and left such an impact on them, that's kind of how they're going to categorize you, as someone that just smells good. Because they kind of know as well that if you smell that unique and that different, you're probably pretty deep into this type of hobby. Because you don't need to be an expert to identify when something does smell different or out of the norm, you know, a fragrance that is not your typical cookie cutter, fresh, clean type of deal, right? A lot of guys and girls can, notice that and identify when something does smell a little bit more captivating. And we're moving into that time of year right now. Fall and winter, the cooler times of the year, is the perfect time to really kind of branch out of your comfort zone a little bit, or if you're perfectly comfortable with this type of thing, you can really start taking advantage of and wearing some scents that are a lot more unique and different, because generally when it comes down to it, the fresher citrus aquatic stuff is a little bit more run-of-the-mill. A lot of times summer scents, winter scents, you can really kind of dive in and start getting into some things that do stand out in a big way. I just have a couple of them here, just a little handful. I'm not going to overwhelm you with a bunch of different options, even though there are a ton out there. These are some you can pick up right now, and you could start off on the right foot here. Let's get things kicked off with L'Eau d'Issy Pour Homme, or incense, or ENCENS, I guess, but it has incense. It has pink pepper, some labdanum in here, and a little bit of rose. So it has a little bit of a Middle Eastern kind of tinge to it, but it still kind of circles back to more of a mainstream designer feel as well. Issey Miyake has some amazing fragrances within this L'Eau d'Issy lineup. This line is so expansive. There are so many out there, some discontinued, some hard to find, a lot of which still in production, right? It's the life cycle of all of these fragrances and flankers these days. They're always bringing in new ones, so they have to get rid of old ones. It can be a little bit confusing sometimes when you're trying to figure out where to start with a line like this, because there are so many options. This is one you can pick up from time to time for usually around $100. It is a little bit harder to find, but it is still doable, and it is worth being on the lookout for. It is something unique. It's smoky, it's spicy, it's warm, it's rich, it has some body to it, kind of mysterious, great evening time scent. And if you do want to find rare fragrances like this, you want to have a fighting chance at getting them before they sell out. You don't want to be having to constantly scour the internet and cut into your free time doing that. Maybe you don't have the time when you're at work and things like that. Get on my mailing list and my texting list down below. I'll get you taken care of. Anytime something rare, discontinued, hard to find does come into stock, I send out a notification allowing you the opportunity to get said item for yourself. Basically, think of any rare fragrance in your head right now, and I'm looking for it as we speak after this video, and I always update you guys. Get on those lists, you won't regret it. Now, if you have a little bit more money to spend, you could go for something like XERJOFF NAXOS. This is a tobacco and honey masterpiece of a scent. And now there are many clones as well. You could go for something like Insurrection Pure 2. You could go for Paris Corner Vaux Elegante, which the bottle has a similar look to this one, the frosted glass and the gold cap. Great options out there. Fantastic clones, affordable alternatives, whatever. I wanted to feature this one just for the fact that I more or less feature the clones more often than the real deal here, and so I figured I should give credit where credit is due. And I love the clones. I love the alternatives. They're great. It is really hard to find a one-to-one substitute for the real one. Again, if you're on a budget, go for the clone. Don't stress yourself out trying to spend this type of money on something like this. But I'll tell you, having this one, Naxos itself, and comparing it to the others, it is hard to beat this stuff. Even just smelling it off the atomizer, it's rich. It's textured. It has a little bit of a bright kind of feeling to it as well to complement the heavy, syrupy, sweet, and rich nature of this one. This is a stunner of a scent. Retails for $250 for 100 ml, which actually isn't that bad when we're talking price per milliliter. Oftentimes, this one pops up on discounters for anywhere from $150 to $170, $180, and there's a little bit of a range there. It just depends. Sometimes testers with caps come up as well. Again, mailing list, texting list, I've got you covered. This does come up often for essentially $100 off of retail a lot of the time. So make sure you stay tuned if you want to grab this one for the upcoming fall and winter time. Next up, we have a new release for this year that already hit discounters. It is Coach Green, has kiwi, rosemary, and cedarwood here. It is a very solid designer release. I was not looking forward to this at all, being fully 100% transparent and straight up. Saw this one announced. I had zero desire to pay retail for it, so I did not, which is uncharacteristic of me because I usually buy every new release at full retail. I simply was not feeling this. Maybe because Coach Blue wasn't all that great, and I did pay full retail for that when that came out. So I just waited around. It came up on discounters, Fragrance Net. I got this 100 ml bottle. Ended up paying, I think it was like $40. I think it was somewhere around in there. I think it was a tester. Or in fact, I know it was a tester because the sticker is on the back. So it ended up being a really good price, a lot of money off of retail. And at that price, I went ahead and bought it. It came in. It sat in the box still, unopened, on my floor for the better part of a few weeks. I was not motivated to try this stuff. And what do you know? I finally opened it up and gave it a shot. And I really ended up enjoying it, and I still do. So it's fruity from the kiwi, which kind of is giving off some of that green feel. The rosemary in here is giving it an aromatic twist. There's some oak moss as well. It smells fantastic. A little bit more of a traditional style, you know, traditional twist meets a modern fragrance kind of. A little bit of a hybrid scenario. The oak moss kind of gives it some of that throwback feel. But then you get just some of the newer tropes of a new designer scent. I think if you can get this one for anything below retail, anything, you know, $50 or less, I think it's a fantastic pickup. And you might be surprised like I was. It's really good, and it is something that does stand out. This is a solid release. I got to give it to them. Next up, we have Polo Double Black. I've talked about this one a few times. It's a coffee fragrance with mango, which is interesting. That's not a combination that you see often. There's some just pepper in here as well, black pepper with that coffee and that mango. It's spicy, it's a little bit gourmand, and then a slight bit fruity. It's a very interesting balance of notes here, and that's why I like it. That's what makes it interesting, and ultimately, that's why it's in this video. It's something that stands out. It's something that people are going to pick up on and probably, you know, kind of gravitate towards a little bit because it is a Ralph Lauren, right? It is a Polo derivative. It's a flanker of the very popular Polo lineup. But this one is a little bit further down the rabbit hole than some of the others. It's not a Polo blue. It's not a Polo green. It's not a Polo red. Those are kind of the base level. Most guys have those or know about them. They've been around for years, and then the flankers follow thereafter. This is one that you're not going to stumble across as often, and that's why I like it. Again, the coffee in here is nice. It's not too overpowering. Everything about this one is subtle, easygoing, very wearable, very mass-pleasing, and at a pretty fair price online at discounters as well. We'll stick with the coffee theme and step it up a notch with this next one. I do think that coffee fragrances are a great way to stand out in a positive manner. Even if you're someone that doesn't like coffee all that much, maybe the people around you, there's someone that doesn't like coffee either, these still have enough balance, enough going on to where I think people will still enjoy them quite a bit. And people who do happen to like coffee will probably really enjoy them. But anyway, this is Rochas This is Rochas Man. Almost got me there. Mustache, by the way, Eau de Parfum's a great scent that could be in here, but Rochas Man Intense is what I wanted to feature today. So this is the new re-release of Intense. You guys may not have known this. I didn't know this until this came out, but way back, I don't know if it was 2003 or something like that, there was a ROCHAS Man Intense a long, long time ago, and then it was discontinued. Years and years and years go by, and now in 2022 or 3, maybe it was this year, they re-released it. Or at least something, a Man Intense. I don't have the original Intense version, just this new one. But I can tell you, this compared to the Eau de Toilette, it's a big step up to me. And I love ROCHAS Man EDT. It's a fantastic scent. It has the cappuccino, it has the balsam fir, it has all of that going on, the coffee, gourmand, sweet, but also kind of aromatic aspect. This also has that, but it's amped up. It's even heavier, even stronger, even richer. This is the definition of an intense version, like the textbook definition of an intense flanker. You know, this is the way it should be done. And because I do think, you know, sometimes brands go about things differently, and sometimes they'll call it an intense of something, but then they, you know, drastically change how it smells. They alter it to a point where it isn't all that similar, and it's kind of confusing. Other brands maybe don't change it enough, and it's kind of redundant. They struck the nail on the head here, and they got it just right. It's stronger, it's richer, and it's different enough to warrant a new purchase. This is another one that has been on discounters for a while now, so you can get it below retail easily. And if you were to just buy one, I would go straight for the Intense. And if you just have the Intense, you probably don't need the Eau de Toilette. That being said, if you have the EDT and you really like it, but you want something stronger, I think it's worth the $40 to jump over to the Intense version. I don't think you'll regret it. It's one of the better coffee designer scents in the affordable range, under $50. In my opinion, and this is a true stunner. It's addicting, it's sexy, it's mouth-watering, it's a really good scent, and I do recommend it. We'll finish this one off with one more affordable scent. This one is around $35-ish, give or take a few. Testers do come with caps, and so that is an option to save a little bit more money there. From Bentley, it is For Men Absolute. So Bentley For Men Absolute. Fantastic stuff that's all about the cedar wood, the papyrus, the pink pepper. It's very woody, very spicy, with a little bit of kind of a whiskey rum opening, which is interesting. It's really, really nice. Somewhat similar to Gucci Pour Homme 1, which is a discontinued scent. Very hard to find, very sought after. This is something that you can get that kind of puts you in a similar ballpark to that one. You could go for Bentley For Men Intense. You could go for the original Bentley For Men. You could probably even go for a Bentley For Men Black Edition or Azure. They're all really good. They all stand out. Bentley For Men and Bentley For Men Intense, to me, will be a little bit more challenging than Absolute. And so I think Absolute is probably going to be the safer purchase, at least up against those two. And that's kind of why I wanted to feature this one. But it still has that wow factor and the way that it just stands out and kind of makes its presence known. If you want a very confident and masculine smelling scent at an affordable price, look for Bentley For Men Absolute. That's where we're going to end it today. I'll drop links to each and every one of these down below to discounters for you. And again, if you want to have access to rare, discontinued, hard to find scents and big fragrance sales and things like that, get on my mailing list at the link down below and my texting list at the number down below. I promise you won't regret it. Mancera for $58, Dior Homme Parfum coming in stock, Lana Oui Bleu Electrique, Fahrenheit Les Parfums, brand new designer releases hitting discounters for way off of retail, and that's always exciting. I notify you guys on all that stuff, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.